Welcome back to my second interview with the awesome Linda Hall. This is Rita Reimer's host of 19 Cats and Counting with my special guest and co-host Linda Hall as we continue to discuss how COVID has affected all our lives, how it's affected our companion animals, especially the kitties that are so empathic and sensitive to our moods. First, let's take a little break and we'll come right back with 19 Cats and Counting. And we're back with 19 Cats and Counting. Yes, I only have 18 right now, but that's the end counting part. We're back for a second half hour with the awesome Linda Hall to continue talking about her new multi-cat household and some other considerations you might want to think about during this time of COVID and how it's affecting the world, really.
Yeah.
So, Linda, now that you have 6 less pets than I do, are you feeling more like a crazy cat lady?
Oh, without a doubt. I really thought that I understood multi-cat household. I mean, I had 8 cats and a dog, and the dog's a little chihuahua, so it doesn't really count as a cat or a dog. He's kind of in the middle there.
She's a cat, right?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she really doesn't see any difference. But there was just a huge difference between 8 and 11. Yeah, cats. That was just everything.
Well, and came at once, and they were all full grown.
Yes. And I had worries. My daughter likes my little chihuahua, and she'll take her for walks and things. And she had taken her back to her apartment one day, and her curtains are now in shreds because the cats had never seen such a piece. They didn't know what that was, and they were freaked out. So I'm thinking, not only am I adding 4 more cats, which is tough on the Chewy orders, it's tough on the litter. Yeah. There was just a huge multitude of things to consider. But the dog and it was a lot.
Well, how's the dog doing? Because she's a scaredy dog anyway. How did she handle being overwhelmed by 4 more?
She has learned really quickly who to bother and who not to bother. Like, she can bother my cat Galway, and they'll go on the floor and wrestle. And I always laugh because I think, dog, that cat could eat you for dinner. I think the dog thinks she's being her. No, sweetie, that cat could. But she's Galway's really the only cat that'll play with Sadie like that. And the rest of them all let her know that they aren't messing with her. So she would approach very carefully and start to sniff them. And if they hissed or something, she'd back off. Because she's not one of those dogs that thinks she's bigger than she is. She knows she's a little bit.
All little dogs have that syndrome. Remember, we learned that from Arden.
Yeah. But she's learned with cats that she needs to, back off under certain circumstances. And we would see finally some cat, sniffing, going nose to nose, and we'd be, hallelujah, what this has happened. So yeah, that was one hurdle. That was the least of our hurdles, to be honest, of all the things I thought were going to be crazy. Figuring out the Chewy order, how much food we're going through, is it too much of this? Is it less of this? I was getting my Chewy order.
Figure that out.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I was getting a Chewy order every 3 weeks. So I split it into 2, and they each come every 4 weeks. So every 2 weeks I get a delivery. So I go a little wet, a little hard, some litter, a little wet, a little hard, some litter.
I'll trade you.
No, I don't know.
You're not that far behind me now, though, with 11.
I'm sure. Chewy must just love us. I know
that the delivery guy doesn't love me because he left my 2 orders ago. My driveway it goes up. It's a long driveway and it goes up. Well, he left the darn Chewy boxes by my mailbox, which is next to the street, right? Not only mine, but he put my neighbor's Chewy order there. So I called Chewy and told them, right? So Chewy reissues their order. Son of a gun. Doesn't he not do it again? Right in front of. So, I'm almost 60 years old. I'm pretty fit for 60, but I called them up and I'm like, listen, I'm an old lady. You can't leave it there. I can't carry that because, I'm getting like 12 containers of litter and, 24 cans of food and, 5 big, huge boxes of bags of hard food. That's hard to carry.
Yeah, I'm getting at least 60 pounds of litter every 2 weeks. I mean, I see the boxes out on the porch. I'm like, somebody pull those in. There's no way to be carrying them down the driveway. Right? And it's a lot.
You get that heavy. You get Frisco's litter still?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved that litter, but when I lived on a second story, again with FedEx, I'm sorry, FedEx, I'm picking on you, but a FedEx driver there used to like to leave things at the bottom of the 13. Those are heavy, so I switched
Yes.
to the lightweight, which is still 15 pounds instead of
Yeah.
30. I
Yeah.
used Arm& and Hammer, but Frisco's is good litter. I really I
Yeah.
liked it
Yeah.
when I was using it. Ooh,
Oh, oh, you froze for a second there.
there
Are you
you go.
there? There you are. Okay, sorry, you froze for a second there. Yeah, and all the cats seem to like it because I know I've experienced that problem. My mother had that problem. I shared that before, where she called me and was like, the cat's peeing on her bed. They had switched
Sure,
litter types, and the cats
share
didn't
it
like
again.
it.
Share it again,
So
because some
yeah,
people like
my
that.
mother called me from Florida and was like, your dad's like threatening to kick the cat out, which she probably wouldn't have. I don't know. Depends on how mad he was getting, but they stay in this trailer in the summer, and it's not like they have, or in the winter, excuse me, in Florida, and it's not like they can just throw the stuff in the washing machine. And so
Sure.
yeah, this cat was peeing on their bed, who had never peed on their bed before. They've had Jazzy years, I don't know. And I said, first thing I said, has he been to the vet recently? It needs to be checked for UTI. But then I said, have you changed litters? As we had just talked about that. And she said, yeah, they had switched to a lighter weight litter. And I said, Jazzy doesn't like it. And they got Jazzy from an animal shelter, and he had already been declawed. And so I know, especially with declawed cats, that mutilation that can leave them with very sensitive paws. And I
Yeah.
said, he's not liking this. And Nikki's cat Shadow was perching on the rim of her boxes when she was in the apartment, and was just peeing and pooping just outside the box. And she's like, I don't know what she's doing. She's like perched, like they were using scented litter.
Oh, they didn't
She
like
did
that.
not want to
Mm-hmm.
scratch it or touch it and stir
Sure.
up that smell. That smell bothered her. We
Yep.
switched to unscented litter, problem solved.
Yep.
So yeah. So
Little
everybody
things like that.
like,
I use unscented also, because
yes.
not only that they get it on their paws and they eat it when they're cleaning their paws. Not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
I
good.
mean, it sounds nice to me to get the one that's scented like Febreze. Maybe it'd cover up the scent of poo, but if it's not going to work for the cats, it's not going to work.
I have found that the new Arm& and Hammer, the Absorb X, it's
Yeah.
scented. Well, this one is scented, but it's not a bad scent. It's kind of like a clean scent, like baking powder.
Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
these desert dry minerals that they use, and it really takes care of the poop odor too. Unless somebody's got a real bad blowout. But I mean, I no longer have to get up in the middle of the night when somebody poops in the litter box and scoop it like I used to have.
I can't sleep with this.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of Arm& and Hammer. I was using their Clump and Seal anyway. So then I tried the Absorb X, and now they have a Clump X, Absorb X Clump and Seal combination. So I got that one this last time, and it's lightweight too. But there is a way to change cat litters for anybody who's listening to that horror story, because her mom and dad, they're in their 80s, right? Like my parents, 70s, 80s, and they want a lighter weight litter box to pick up. You start by combining. Like when I changed my cats to the lightweight, I mixed it with the regular weight. Just kept mixing, and then gradually decreased the other one until they got used to using this one. That way, it's not such a big shock. And both the granules were this kind of the same consistency. And that's real important too. Like if you suddenly put in that chunky crystal litter, that wouldn't work with Jazzy because it would kill her paws.
Yes.
But if you're changing texture as well as brand, as well as weight, all of it, that's not going to go over so good. So I try to stay in the brand and mix the two until I can phase one. It's the same if you're changing food. If you change their diet too much, too fast, they can get diarrhea, or they just might not like it. So I always say people, if you're especially if you're changing to like a weight management food, start by combining the two and then back off the other.
Yes.
There's ways to trick them, but cats don't like change, and that's why COVID's been so hard on our companion animals, because especially like in this case, Linda's cats and dog had to get acclimated to a new human in the house, new things, as well as 4 new cats. And Nikki's cats had to acclimate to moving to a new location and not having their daddy around. And that's been rough on them. Are you okay to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Sebastian was taken to the hospital on July 25th, and he was in until he passed on August 20th. So yeah, he just disappeared. And yeah, the cats don't know where Daddy is. And so then Nikki, because he was so sick and we were basically on phone watch and she was beside herself rather than be alone, she started sleeping on my couch with me, and we would just go over every couple of days and check on the cats, or, to refill their food and scoop and things. And then my son would go over. When we finally got the cat,
we got you. We're hung up a little bit. There we are.
They would find. Okay. So yeah, when we first started moving her in officially and we had the cats here, we noticed if we bring a tote over with he had this book bag that he carried all the time, purses, his Deadpool book bag, and they were all over it, rubbing it and smelling it and laying on it and
Daddy.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. And they also sensed our grief because even my OGs, I found Galway curled up with Superman. I sent you a picture of 3 cats curled up. I don't remember who the third one was, but Galway snuggles with no one. And I'm like, what is happening here? Why are these 3 cats curled up together? This doesn't happen.
They feel each other's pain.
Yes. Yeah. I think they were feeling their pain, the changes. I'm sure made them a little insecure. Subra was so up my hind end for a while. As she even started burrowing under the covers and laying, it was not typical behavior of her. And I think I've had her about 9 years now, maybe, and she's never, or she'd have to be touching me, which was really adorable, but got annoying after a while. She would just put one paw on my leg or one paw on my arm. Just let me have some contact with you.
Well, and yeah, your pain too.
Yes. I think they felt our grief, all the changes, stuff coming in, cats coming in. I mean, it was a lot, but what were we going to do? I mean, like I said, Tiger's an old man. He's been with Nikki for 12, 13 years. What are we going to do? He would not acclimate to another home. No. And I certainly wasn't going to let him be euthanized.
No.
And,
I know. I want to implore people, if you have to take in a family member and they have pets, please make every effort possible to accept their pets. Because for one thing, let's just stick with talking about your situation as an example. Nikki was already going through a lot of loss. She lost her husband. She lost her soulmate. She lost the future she thought she had, right? And she lost her home, having to move in with you guys. Don't make her lose her pets too. Sometimes someone's pets, they're their only connection with continuity and reality. And okay, I have my pets here. I'm okay. Yes. Not just that, but as you've heard here, with Sebastian passing, their cats felt profound loss of Sebastian, even though they're still with Nikki and they're with people that love them. So if you decide, hey, so-and-so, you can move in with me, but, Rex and Fluffy have to go, you're breaking that person's heart. Plus, those cats and dogs, too, they might never recover from separation. And if they're older, they'll go in. If you find a shelter to take them, they might not be safe. They might be euthanized.
Well, and I'm sure their and I'm sure their behavior, which I mean, already her little girl Harley is so pretty, but Harley is skittish. Harley will let you touch Harley if Harley wants you to. And, all of a sudden, I told you one day we were watching TV, there was a cat on my leg. There's always a cat on my leg. Didn't think a thing of it. We're getting ready to go to bed. And I look down, it's Harley. And I'm like, oh, wait, what just happened? I've seen Bigfoot. And she let me pet her, but it's on her terms. So she's not going to be the loving cat that everybody wants to adopt. Inky and Shadow are both black, which gives less. Shadow's a food hoarder who will steal food out of your mouth. She's getting better. We're working on it. And has digestion issue. I mean, none of them were really stellar choices for somebody looking for a cat.
You're like me. You guys adopt the underdogs. I know.
Yes, exactly. And they were displaced from their home and everything they know. They lost their daddy. I'm supposed to make them lose their mommy too.
I know.
Not to mention how Nikki feels. I mean, like I said, Tiger's been with her entire adult life. I don't even I'm coming to move in with you when Tiger finally passes one day, because
I know that's going to be ugly.
Anywhere around her, she is going to lose her marbles.
It's going to be like Sadie's heart. my book.
Yes,
LLC.
yes.
Well, now Sweetie Pie's my baby. When Sweetie Pie goes, you better just, drug me up.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
on my way.
let's take a small break, and when we come
Okay.
back, I want to talk to you all about a heartbreaking story.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after some messages from one of our sponsors. And we're back on 19 Cats and Counting. Get your tissues ready because I want to tell you all a story. Of course, it's related to COVID and all the changes we're going through and what we're just talking about. Somebody who used to work for me at Just for Cats Pet Sitting, I won't say her name, contacted me. We're still, she's my pet sitter too. Her daughter and son-in-law and little baby have to move in with my friend B. We'll call her B. So B contacted me. They have 4 cats. I can't take on 4 more. She's got her own cats and dog. She's already raising a little boy. So now the whole family's coming to move in. What do I do with the cats, right? Well, we all thought they were safe, and it took me a while to really get all the details. Apparently 3 were outdoor cats. OJ was 3. Chobi was 6 months. Sad to say, I already forgot. Oliver. How could I forget? Because I have a cat named Oliver. Oliver was 2. Then there was the indoor cat, Sophie, 13 years old. So B said to me, I know. B said to me, can you take one? I'll take one. I reached out to some of my wonderful rescue friends and got the name of this awesome rescue in New Jersey that's been around since 1938 that helps people in cases like this. Barb reached out to them. We're in the process, right? I said to Barb, which one do you want to keep? She said, I'll keep the 13-year-old. I said, great. I'll take the 6-month-old because I think he'll acclimate to indoor life pretty well, Toby. And we're still looking for a place for the other 2. We didn't know they were in danger, okay? I get an email from Barb like the next day. Are you sitting down? Apparently they went over to feed the cats. No cats. Outdoor cats are gone. Indoor cat is gone, which means somebody with a key had to go in. Apparently the landlord had been threatening to kill these cats. I didn't know this. Barb didn't know this. Oops, I keep saying her name. I'm sorry. And her daughter and son-in-law, I mean, they knew the landlord had said this, but it's like, how many times do you hear somebody say, I'm going to kill you, and it's not true. They didn't think it was a credible threat. Well, next door, the landlord's relatives live. There's a fresh mound of dirt. So apparently they went in, killed the 3 outdoor cats, killed the indoor cat, and buried them in the backyard. Okay. So they call the sheriff. The sheriff goes over to investigate. Of course, they're lying. Oh, we don't know. We don't know. Cats just right off. Forgetting that the indoor cat, somebody had to have specifically gone in and gotten. The sheriff doesn't seem to care about that. It's animal abuse. It's a felony in many areas now. I don't know that South Carolina is one of them. Probably not. But so I've written to Megan Fogarty here at WCCB Charlotte. Also, my friend Wilson, who airs Wilson's World. I've been on his show here, WCCB Charlotte, to try to get somebody to help us get to the bottom of what really happened to these cats, although we pretty much know. I wanted to go dig in the backyard. My mom's holding me back. No, you can't do that because you'll get arrested for trespass. So we wanted the sheriff to do it. No, he says, they can't do it without a warrant. Nobody cares about these cats. We were so close to getting them. Had I known they were in danger, I would have said, come on, I'll put them in my back room. I can't keep them all. Barb, too. I've said her name a million times. She said, had she known, she would have, taken them all in temporarily. So the moral of the story is, please don't make your family or friends choose between having a roof over their head and having to give up their cats to a fate like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many people have this misconception that cats are wild animals because, no, a cat that lives in your home and is a house cat is not a feral cat. And even feral cats have shorter life expectancies. There's too many poisons things out there that your car can drip. You can get hit by a car, and there are mean people.
There are.
And, in the case of Nikki, like I said, Tiger has been with her basically her entire adult life. She's never lived outside of my home without him. How could I take him away? Shadow is her baby girl. That is her daughter. And you're not going to tell her otherwise. That is her daughter. I'm supposed to take her daughter away, what would you do if you were in trouble?
I
You know,
know. I
the
know.
abusive relationship, and you call your mom and say, I need to come. And she says, okay, you can come, but not your kids. You know, that this is what it was. And then, as Rita knows, Inky escaped, got out. We didn't
Oh
realize our
yeah.
back door wasn't
That's
latching, and he
right.
got out on the mud porch. And when my husband opened the door, out he went. And Inky was Sebastian's cat, who is now gone. And so she was as torn up as you would expect her to be because missing, and is the cat okay? And of course, that night it snowed.
Of
So
course, because Murphy's Law, and it's 2020.
oh, that, of course, exactly. Yeah, it hadn't snowed up until then, and yeah, we got this nice layer, and it was that Sebastian's cat.
Right.
Sebastian's cat. I've already lost Sebastian. Now I'm losing pieces, and I've lost the home we lived in, and I've lost, and now I'm supposed to lose his child. Granted, the cat is not going to live to old age with her, but let's give her some time to pull herself together and learn to live with her grief and her loss before we take away her babies and Sebastian's
And not in
babies.
that way. Well, thank heavens Nikki got her back.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I guess I should have told that part of the story. Yeah,
Tell the
Inky
good
has
part.
this thing. Inky has this thing he does, which is hysterical. Except that I'm probably going to die because of him someday. Because he'll just walk out in front of you, and then he'll just do this dead drop on the floor, and lay on his back and put his paws up and just look at you like, aren't I cute? I'm so cute. You should love
Isn't
me.
this fun?
Yes.
Almost killed you by
It's
making you
real
trip
fun.
on me.
Yeah, it's real fun when you're heading somewhere and all of a sudden, boom, right in front of you, and put on the brakes. But yeah, we tried to catch him for 2 days, no go. And then she was trying to get him, and all of a sudden he just dropped on his back and went, hi, I'm so cute. You should love me. First, I was grateful we got him back in the house, and then I threatened to kill him. But, it's for what he put us through.
We've all lost so much in 2020. Please don't make people choose. Don't make them give up their animals if you can help it. They'd rather be with their person and be a little overcrowded for a temporary period than end up in a rescue or shelter if you can find someone who will take them, because they're at capacity now.
Yes.
And, I would have taken in those 4 temporarily, but, and I'm not saying Barb did a bad thing. She didn't
No.
know, and she would do it different had she known.
Yeah, but who knew? I mean, I remember when you and I were discussing it, and you were like, would someone actually, oh, there's Sweetie Pie. Oh, look at that little girl. Yeah, you were like, I can't believe somebody would do this. Yeah, there are a lot of people would do that.
I know.
They look at them as pests, like we think of mice. If a mouse gets in your house, you trap it, you kill it. You don't really, I mean, I don't want to touch it and see it because then I will feel bad. But, it's a pest, and it's going to, be dirty and leave droppings. And that's the way a lot of people consider cats. It's going to walk on my car and leave scratches. It's going to dig up my flower box. It's
Which
a
is so
pest.
sad. They're nothing like rats or mice.
No.
And for some people, rats and mice are pets, and there are domesticated
That's
rats
true
and
too.
mice. When I was a kid, I had pet mice. I wouldn't do it now. Of course, there would be a snack here, but I certainly, if somebody was moving in and they had a pet rat or a pet mouse or something, I wouldn't make them give it away, because that little life means something to them.
Yes.
And sometimes that's, in this period, the only thread of continuity they have. Are you having some cat arguments?
Someone just meowed, and I was looking to see who was here. There's a black cat in the window. I don't know which of the 3 it is, but yeah. Always. That's what I told you too. Remember, I told you when I got my first cat, I was so excited. But cats aren't. I had been raised with dogs, so I'm used to this little thing that's going to want to be on you and jump on your lap. And I'm like, where's the cat? The cat's off hiding. The cat's sleeping. The cat's wherever. So we got a second cat, and then we got a third cat, and and now that is not a problem I have. There are cats everywhere.
I know the feeling. I know. I really don't want to fill spots 19 and 20 again, but I will if someone comes along that absolutely needs it. A senior cat, a cat with an injury, a cat that somebody thinks is ugly that nobody will adopt. Some of these little cleft lip cats that need surgery.
Yeah.
That's what those spots are for. But right now, we have perfect harmony here, and I don't want to upset the apple cart. We took in Maxwell, and he fit in beautifully, but, he was only with us for 2 months till he passed away. Oh, who's on the bed? Who's on the bed?
Who are you? Oh, that's Baca.
Well, that's the original black cat.
Yes, that's the original black cat. Baka has always been a bit of a brat. She is a one-person cat. It used to be my daughter Lizzie. Lizzie went to college,
Right.
and Baka decided to adopt my husband. But yeah, you don't see her snuggling other cats or loving on other cats. But since the integration, she's become a bully. She's chasing people and making noise. And I have been amazed. Like I said, I knew I'd have problems with the integration. I was worried about Nikki's 4 cats, but I thought, I know my cats. I know exactly how they're going to act. This
Told you.
wouldn't
Oh,
be.
you're frozen.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Just when you think you know, you don't. And mine too. Right after Pinky died, which was about 2 weeks before Maxwell passed. I think I told you all of a sudden my Rosie, my shy Rosie, she's been upstairs, which is weird because Pinky wasn't even an upstairs cat. But Rosie's been spending time upstairs and running around and chasing after Simba and playing. And I'm like, I don't get it because those two didn't really have much interaction with one another. Why her being gone made this miraculous change in Rosie, I don't know. But you just never know what's going to make
Yeah.
their personality change for the worse
Yeah.
or the better.
Yes. Yes.
Well, also till I moved here, she was living in my office at the apartment. Remember, she wouldn't leave the office, and
Yes.
here at the house, she's all over downstairs. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just don't know. You don't know your cats. You think you know until
Exactly.
something changes in your household, and then.
Exactly.
Well, even
Do we
this
need to
little
take a
brat,
break?
she was very jealous of Maxwell, Sweetie Pie.
She's such a cutie. Well, that's because she's your baby and she knows it. She's
Yeah.
your child. Do
She
we
was
need to take a
very
commercial break?
We already took one, but we've got about
Did I miss it?
5 minutes left.
This is also, and speaking of COVID brain is a real thing. I seriously don't remember us taking a break. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk a minute to the anti-maskers out there, Linda. Linda, you just made this awesome recording. I've shared it on my personal wall. We've only got about 3-4 minutes left or so, but let's talk about what is so heartbreaking right now going on.
Well, here's the thing. Masks are horrible. I get it, 100%. No matter what I do, they've got pet hair on them. I seriously don't understand how that happens.
I don't
take
either,
it directly out of the
I
wash, put it in a baggie. They've got pet hair, and I had to wear one for probably about an hour and a half at the doctor's the other day. And I mean the heat and the humidity, and I just kept wanting to just pull it and just air out a little bit. I get it. Yes. I get it. It always fogs up my glasses. I've heard every tip, doesn't help. Okay. Established. Hate them. However, here are the facts. Big droplets, small droplets. Speaking right now, I'm spitting. Okay. I don't see it. Sometimes you do. Everybody's had that moment where you're like, oh crap, I just spit. But
oh yeah, I've done that.
Things are coming out. And then there's the cough and the, if you're singing, if you're loud, if you're yelling, it's even more, and it's projectile. You don't see it. It happens. If you do not wear that mask, your droplets are shared. Now, if someone else isn't wearing a mask, you can get sick. It was the case with my husband. Cameron was very, very sick, like a really, 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 really bad flu on steroids, I call it, for a couple of weeks. I was sick at home for over a week before I went to the hospital. I had pneumonia in both lungs, was hospitalized for 4 days, sick as a dog. And, I was super careful. I just, it's like, where did we get this?
I know.
Where did we get this? Yes. Nikki had pneumonia in one lung. She could function, but she was very sick. And then, of course, Sebastian, who went to the hospital, and it just attacked everything in his body.
Went to the hospital. They sent him home, wouldn't admit him. And then he collapsed at home, went to the hospital, never came back.
Yep. And, so my husband, the health department wanted my husband to get tested because he was living in COVID Central.
Right.
It was a scary place to be, to stay away from my house. And he felt fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Positive. He had COVID. And in the end, he really didn't get much more of a cold. He had some fatigue with it, but it just really wasn't that big of a deal. He'd have never guessed he had COVID. So if he was an anti-masker, he's walking around, sure, he's not sick. And, it's a couple days before things kick in. So even if you do feel sick, you've been out spreading it for a couple of days.
That's right.
So you're giving it to someone who gives it to someone. And, there's a lot of talk. I hear a lot about the, it's the underlying conditions. I have MS. which probably made it harder for me to fight. But COVID is what did the damage to my body. My son-in-law had diabetes and was overweight, which probably made it harder for him to fight. And maybe had he not had those underlying conditions, he would have lived. However, he did not die from diabetes. His blood sugars were under control. His kidneys went, his liver went, his heart was being attacked. Everything was being attacked, except his insulin levels were great until the very. That's not what got him. And if I were to, if we could assemble the United States in one, put them everybody on a Zoom call and say, okay, I want everybody to drop out of this Zoom call who is 65 or older. They're gone. Chronic fatigue syndrome, any kind of autoimmune disease, arthritis, drop out.
Yeah.
Anybody who has cancer, drop out. Anybody who smoked in their lifetime, 10 years when they were younger, drop out. I guarantee you there's like 5 people left on this call, right? Everybody's
Probably.
got
Something.
And so, yeah, we all have underlying conditions. And, you know,
I have weight, so I would.
Yeah. And, you know, it's always something. And you just you can't imagine, even if it's a young person who gets better. I talked to a mom, sent her kid off for college, gets that call. Now, I think her kid is going to recover 100%. He's a young kid. He's an athlete. He's tough. But the mother is scared to death because there are children who die from it who don't have underlying conditions. There are. So there she is, scared to death.
About him.
Yes, he's not home. She can't take care of him. It's not worth the trauma she went through, even if he'd had a light case and got completely better. The trauma and the fear, it's not worth that. Yeah, my daughter's a widow because somebody didn't wear a mask around Sebastian. He wore his. But, you know, and I hear a lot of, if you're wearing your mask, what are you worried about? Protect yourself. Worry about yourself. My mask keeps my droplets from going on you. It does not protect me from yours. If
that guy that the experiment with the Petri dishes.
Yes.
I was like, whoa, everybody, even when COVID's under control, wear your mask because I don't want those germs.
Yeah, they did it, talking, singing, standing different places apart, whatever, and then they curated the Petri dishes and they found out that, it's not even wearing the mask. If he was standing 3 or 4 feet from the Petri dish, it got it and it grew. So, you know, you have to have everybody wearing masks and everybody 6 feet apart. Somebody said to me today, if you're so petrified, why don't you stay home? Well, I am, but my husband still has to go to work and I'm worried about him.
Your son goes to work.
Yeah, exactly. My son works at McDonald's. So I'm worried about that coming home. And honestly, why should I have to stay home? Why should I have to pay more to get groceries delivered? Go without seeing my grandsons. You know, my grandsons are delicious and I miss them more than life. And I need to squeeze them so badly. And I have not touched or seen them in over 6 months.
And your parents, you only saw them, what, twice when they were home?
Yeah. They come home for 6 months and they hardly saw me at all. And they got a total of 2 hugs the entire time. I just couldn't take it anymore. And I'd been quarantined for 14 days. But the thought of killing my parents, you know, why should I have to give all that up because you're uncomfortable wearing a mask? That's stupid. Right. That's
and worrying
so
about going to the doctor, which you had to do. You're scared to death.
Scared to death. Living in fear.
You could see this boo-boo was kissing Sweetie Pie.
Oh,
well, speaking of someone who had an unconfirmed mild case of COVID, but I've lost everything this year because of COVID. I've lost my business, lost my income, my freedom, my ability to have a social life. I don't even hardly see my parents. A lot of things we were going to do with RitaRimers.com, we haven't been able to do. I'm honest, telling everybody I have to file bankruptcy. I gave up my Mercedes, both of them. Ooh, boo-hoo, I know. But, you know, I'm lucky I was able to do that. I'm lucky I have enough money to get me through the next few months because my unemployment's almost gone. But speaking of someone who's lost so much, I still think the country opened way too soon. I know people are worried about they've lost their livelihood and their ability to take care of themselves. Well, the government should be stepping in, and they're not. They are in other countries. But even though I've lost everything, I haven't lost my life. I'm very lucky there. Um, I would give it all up to ensure our country and our people were safe and nobody else died from COVID. I wear a mask whenever I do go out. And of course, I take note of those people who don't. And it's become such a partisan issue, Republican versus Democrat. I'm independent. I'm neither one. It should not be a political issue at all. It's an issue of life and death. And do you want to be responsible for killing somebody's grandmother, somebody's husband, somebody's brother, sister? Nikki and Sebastian were still technically newlyweds. They had only been married nearly 2 years.
2.5 years. 2.5. 2.5. Their third anniversary will be in March 24th. Yeah.
So
and
why do you have the right to take that away from somebody because you don't want to wear a mask? Why? It's just not right, people. Think about it.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
Well, I would like to throw out, people are getting very upset about these mandates now. In Ohio now, we've gone to a curfew. You can't be out after 10 or before 5 unless you're essential. I know Michigan's doing some lockdowns. My son's high school is going to all virtual now. And people are really upset and saying, you're putting all these lockdowns, you're hurting the businesses. Well, let me tell you something. It's not the government doing it. It's the anti-maskers. You're not wearing a mask is continuing to add to the problem, continuing to add to the numbers. And when the numbers get so high, we get put in timeout and get locked down.
Absolutely.
If you want these businesses to open up, put your mask on.
As somebody who lost a business that was doing $650K in sales, I'm happy to lose the business to keep people safe. I just am. Lives are much more important. I could start a new business, and we are doing that. We're going in a different direction with RitaRamos.com and with the radio show and concentrating on, behavior. And, I can help people with cat behavior through Skype and not have to go into their homes. Jackson Galaxy's back to doing that. Well, he charges $1,250 for a Skype session. I don't charge that. Yeah. $9 a month, $9.95 a month. You have unlimited access to me. If you want to set up a Skype call, we'll add that option, but I'm not going to charge you $1,250. And you don't have to leave your home, and we don't have to expose each other, but please keep your cats safe, keep your cats inside. Combined households, try to keep the pets as much as you can. Wear your mask, wear your mask.
We're not aware of our neighbors like we used to be in the olden days. And if you know that you've got a neighbor that it may be sick and they've got animals, I had other people, Cameron was fortunately over it and Brian didn't get it very bad, to feed the cats and scoop the litter boxes. There is no physical in my wildest dreams, no matter how bad I wanted to do it, that I could have done that. And so, if you've got somebody, I worried about you as sick as you were. I don't know how you managed to take care of your cats.
It was very difficult.
This is a time to come together, be there for each other, drop a meal off, leave it. We had wonderful people dropping meals off for us. They just left it on the porch and ran is proper COVID protocol these days, because we don't want to get anybody sick.
You had a really good community wrap its arms around you after Sebastian passed.
Amazing. It was amazing. It was just,
There's such good people out there, but we're all scared. We can't really interact like we would in the olden days. There's no more hugs. There's no more. I don't even think handshakes are going to come back into an acceptable form of communication, and like it used to be. I don't want to shake anyone's hand.
Oh, exactly. I'm a touchy-feely person. I want to hug everybody. I don't care if I just met you.
My mom didn't even want to hug me when I was over the other day, because she's like, COVID. I'm like, I know. It's awful.
It is. So yeah, I asked everybody to wear their mask, obey social distancing. We can do this together, and then be there for your neighbors in your community. Someone posted on one of the community pages on Facebook today and said, what do y'all need? And somebody said, my son's birthday is Thanksgiving Day and I don't have a present for him. Somebody said, I don't have a turkey or a ham or anything for Thanksgiving. And somebody said, I'll drop it off. Somebody just said food. I need food. So I'm cleaning up my cupboards and I put a box together, but
I worry about these people who can't, they can't do Christmas this year for their kids. I don't have a lot of extra money, but I'm more fortunate than some. I'd like to find some family where I can, give them a turkey or give them a couple little Christmas gifts that maybe cost me $100. I can't do a lot because I'm filing bankruptcy, and my lawyer said you can't give out. I said I can't even give Christmas gifts. He said, well, if they're modest, of course. But I don't know what's going to happen after the first of the year. Nobody can afford to join our clubhouse right now, even though it's less than the cost of a pizza. Nobody can afford to buy Sadie's card, even though it's also less than the cost of a pizza. We want to start I know we're going over. We could probably do another half hour, but I'll cut it off in a minute. We want to start our nonprofit again, doing outreach to people who can't afford spay neuter, can't afford food right now. But of course, I have to wait till after the bankruptcy is done, and then we have to scrape together the money again to try to become a 501c3 because somebody ripped us off last time and took our money and didn't get our 501c3 done. We used the extra money that we had for some spay neuters and food and outreach, and then it was gone. So there's some things we're looking forward to in 2021, but it's never going to make up for everything that's been lost this year. And I don't want people to lose more. Lose their lives, lose your pets, put your mask on. Let this be the end of it. When the vaccinations come out, I'll be one of the first in line once we can take it. Of course, the medical professionals will be the first people who get it, first responders and all that. And of course they should. They're exposed to it way more than we. And so many have lost their lives.
Yeah. Every medical person we came in contact with, Sebastian's care, there are no words. They've been amazing. And just looking at these people, Nikki and I were allowed to go in the day that he passed. Going into the COVID unit is a very freaky experience, let me tell you.
Many people got to do that. You're lucky.
Oh, yes. Nikki's on a COVID group, and she said so far she's the only one who was there when her loved one passed. But going in there and just the feeling, the overwhelming heaviness of just being in the COVID unit, and then looking at these doctors and nurses and thinking, you're coming in here every day on purpose.
Tell them how much PPE they go through.
Oh, it's incredible. When I was in, I watched the girls. So there was a room, because I'm in isolation. So there's a room in between the hallway. She'd go in there. She'd shut the door. She'd stick her lips in the door and say, Linda, I'm coming in. Is there anything you need? Because she can't go in and out and she can't bring things out, So now, whatever. So then they would double gown, double glove. She'd do what she had to do. And of course, the mask and the shield. And some of them had this weird headgear on that looked like they were astronauts. I'm not sure what that was. And
yeah.
And then when they go to leave, they'd take off the first gown and the first set of gloves and throw them away there, and then wash and sanitize their hands with the second pair of gloves on so that they can touch that doorknob and leave, and then finish the disrobing in the second room. So yes, every time they came in the room, I tried not to ask for anything, but every time they came in the room, they were using up 2 gowns, 2 pairs of gloves, It's crazy.
And think about times how many patients, times how many times a day they have to go into the rooms, times how many people need to go into the rooms.
Yes.
That's a lot of PPE.
Yes. Sebastian had his own dedicated nurse each shift who would be on for 12 hours. So 12 hours, Sebastian is her only patient. Gosh, they were wonderful to them. But so, how many nurses is that for how many patients going in? We probably saw 10 or 15 in these rooms because the glass doors and we could see through. And, and every time they go in and out, that's what they have to do. So, it's a lot. And we can slow this down. That what we're doing, what the anti-maskers are doing to each other is bad enough. But what they're doing, the strain they're putting on the healthcare system, they don't have the choice to just stay home.
No, there's a lot of hospitals that are saying they're full. They can't even take any more people.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So please think about what you're doing. Wear your mask. Let's end this thing.
Okay.
Get in line for the vaccine when it's available.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to talk Linda into starting her own radio show. I don't know where we'll put it. It doesn't belong on Pet Life Radio, but we'll find a place. But every now and then we'll do something here about it because it does affect our pets too. Thanks, Linda, for sharing with us. And again, thank you, Mark Winter, for always being the awesome producer that you are. And we'll be back next week with a happier topic. I'm sure we've got some special guests in the works, but we're not going to tell you. It'll be a surprise. Remember, everyone, every day is Catterday.